Welcome. I'm Rick McPartland. I'm the founder of the Revenue Game and the Chief Revenue Scientist. And you're joining us today for Revenue Science, the Context of Business series. And you're in the middle of a sub-series called Words Matter. And you're in number 21. And this is a really important session. It's a very simple session in some ways, but it's one that most people don't get right. So we're really going to compare today the difference between sales and revenue. So if you've been with us for a number of our series, you've seen this before. This is the I standing for investigate, Q standing for qualify, S standing for solidify, C standing for contract, and D standing for delivery. IQSCD. And after 40 years of research, this is the process by which people, being buyers, acquire things, and where wise sellers sell things. We'll go deeper into that in a few minutes, but from a buyer's frame of reference, this is what they do. They start out down there in that all suspects, and they're trying to make a decision. You know, the O stands for offer, the gold O. So they're looking at various offers. You know, if you're thinking about buying houses, you can think about offers being condos or 2 bedrooms or 3 bedrooms or big lots or small lots or, 3-car garages, no garages. Each one of those is a different offer. And when you bring in addition to the product being different, well, in one case, the buyer or the seller will carry the paper. They'll finance it. In other cases, it needs to be an all-cash deal. In other cases, there's all kinds of things that go into making an offer. Offers are more than the product, more than the service. They're the complete package from the buyer's point of view, from the buyer's frame of reference back. For me to make this purchase or to create this relationship with a seller, what are all the elements that need to align for me to say this is perfect and I'm happy to pay? So IQSCD is the process buyers go through. And so today what we're talking about is the difference between sales and revenue. And it used to be that the gold, the investigate and early qualify, the I, and the early part of Q was a marketing function. Organizations would investigate because they'd see your brand, or they'd see an ad, or they'd see you at a trade show, or they'd see your website. They'd do something that marketing had done that would get their attention and get that potential buyer to do some early qualifications. Maybe go to your blog, maybe go to your LinkedIn page, maybe look at your Facebook, maybe go to your store, go to your restaurant, and stand there and look at, is it clean? So that was historically a marketing function. And historically, the blue, the late qualify, the solidifying contract, was a sales function. Now, in much of my earlier career, my job was sales, but since there was no marketing, even in billion-dollar companies, there was no marketing that was helping drive those suspects to us. We had to go out and help buyers investigate us and early qualify us so that we had somebody to sell to. But sales' job was to get to that contract point, where we get somebody to sign. And our compensation was typically such that if we got people to sign, we got paid. And so our job of marketing gold, really qualify and investigate, didn't bring us anybody. We'd go find them. And we would talk them into a contract because that's how we got paid. Now, one of the problems with the old way of doing things was it was really expensive because you're paying marketing to do something, and then you're paying sales to do something, and sales has got to redo what marketing did often. And so now sales will do almost anything to get that deal signed so that they can just pass it on to delivery. Now here's where the difference between sales and revenue happens. If salespeople get contracts that are difficult or in some cases impossible for the delivery side of the organization to deliver, either at all or on time, on budget, on margin, what happens to our revenue? Well, let's just pretend, as in some of my past jobs, we're selling a big ticket, complex B2B offering. And when we sign the contract, we are projecting that the delivery time will be 8 weeks. And so the reality becomes, well, when I had them sign the contract, I didn't sign it for exactly what the buyer thought they wanted. And so now my delivery organization's got to take what the buyer really wants and what we contracted for and come up with a happy medium somehow. And instead of that happening in 8 weeks, that happens in 12. As a sales guy, I go, hey, it was a $2 million deal. We still get $2 million, no harm done. But if I'm the company and my sales organization signed a contract that made the delivery 4 weeks longer, what that really means is at the end of the year, I lost 4 weeks of revenue because my delivery organization is still delivering things on the last day of December that should have been delivered on the last day of November. Now, I am an accountant by education, and I really know that the revenue for my organization, my seller organization, can't be recognized until that last day of delivery where the customer says, yes, we have it, we love it, we'll pay for it. So if I extend the delivery 4 weeks, I just cut 4 weeks of revenue out of my company's P&L for the year. So recognize the fact that sales is about signing contracts. Delivery is about executing delivery, and the revenue cannot be recognized until the delivery of the revenue is accomplished and signed off by the buyer. So if you look to that text that says revenue science is about managing the IQSCD roadmap for flow. And flow is made up of volume, how many of those O's, those offers, run up this map, velocity, how fast do they run up this map, and value, how much will the buyer pay for those. What you realize is the value is the most important of those three, because if as a salesperson I have to discount drastically in order to get somebody to sign, what I've really done is, for one reason or another, I haven't convinced the buyer of the value that doing business with us really has. And so I've taken a bunch of value out, and if I have to give away extra services or something extra that delivery wasn't expecting, and I add those extra 4 weeks, I've done two things. I've decreased how much we're going to get for the contract, and I've delayed how long before we get it. So when you think about your business, don't blame sales at the end of the year because a number wasn't reached. In the example of it should have been done in November and it didn't get done till December, that's 1/12 of the year of revenue. You could have had 1/12 additional revenue if the contract and the delivery had matched and they were 8 weeks instead of 12. And if the same thing happens on the front end, if marketing takes an extra 3 weeks to get enough leads to sales, or the leads aren't a high enough quality, and when the quality of the leads aren't good, what happens is the sales cycle gets longer, So recognize the fact this is a single system and that your metrics are really about flow. And your sales issues are not the most important issues to manage. The revenue issues are the most important to manage, because what they do is they point to the parts of the system that can be continuously improved. And normally, if your revenue numbers are a problem, that means you also probably have customer service issues in there as well. The selling process was cumbersome, the delivery process was too long, what the customer thought they contracted for wasn't what delivery planned to implement. So make sure you think about this as a real revenue process, not a sales process. Sales is important, but today, just when I ask organizations, tell me the 4 best selling organizations in the world. 3 of them are almost always Amazon, Google, and Apple. And most of us have never met a salesperson for any one of those 3 companies unless you've been in an Apple store. If you haven't been in an Apple store, chances are you've never met an Apple salesperson. Most of us have never met Google. None of us have typically met an Amazon salesperson. And so the best selling organizations in the world today don't even have people that most of us ever see. So start to think about sales and revenue differently. Sales is important, and salespeople are not going away, at least not completely. There'll be less of them because there'll be more where the buyer doesn't need them. 70% of buyers don't want to talk to salespeople until the buyers made up their mind what they want to do, and then they just want to negotiate price. So start to think about how you can grow profitable revenue and what role sales plays and what role delivery plays and what role marketing plays. Well, I thank you for joining us today. If there's anything we can do for you at the Revenue Game, please reach out. Typically, we help, we call it certify. We help certify your team in all this science so that you understand these things we're talking about today and you know what to do about them. Second thing is we will send in outsourced revenue science professionals as chief revenue officers, CFOs, team building, executive leadership, development people. So if you need help, let us know. And we have Revenue Urgent Care, so if you have that one burning question and you want a revenue science professional just to help you get it out of the way, reach out. If not, I'll see you at the next in the series of Revenue Science, The Context of Business. Thanks.